Yes. So a couple of announcements. There will be a sign-up sheet going around. Please fill it in, and there's no meeting next week. So don't put your name in for next week. Anybody have outside speeches? Yes, I know. I read it
I
today.
do.
Kathleen, would you like to start?
Well, 1, 2, 3, yeah. Well, so I'm going to speak for all of us. We just, Julia Abital and I gave a 1-hour talk at the Women's Symposium in Lincoln City last weekend.
Well, good.
Well, great.
Yeah, and it was very interactive. And, yeah.
Any additional? Okay.
Yeah, and I was
Yes.
thankful for the feedback. Yeah, I felt like I tried to really incorporate that in, and it was fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
I made a presentation yesterday to the leadership team at the Northwest Fisheries Science Center. And it just happened that the guy who's in charge of science for NOAA Fisheries, who works in DC, was there as well.
Wow.
So high caliber, and I had 25 slides, and they were like, "Oh, we got to do it in 20 minutes," and pulled it off.
Very good.
No problem. I'm so happy I'm a Toastmaster, yeah.
We're as a company, we're doing some different things with like Facebook Lives and that type of thing, which is kind of interesting in our industry.
Facebook Live,
Yes.
concerning what they're.
In our industry, it's a little different, and but so I did my second in my series. I'm going around and I'm talking about different topics that people may have questions about or don't understand, like when would you need to have embalming, and we're going to be opening up a crypt that's empty and letting people see inside and those types of things so that people will know what we're about. Well, we did this last one, and it was interesting because this is my second time doing it. So as long story short, all the different stats that come out, I guess it went really well. We had like 200 and some people that are viewing it and sharing it, and I had 38 people come on live. That's at the time that it was scheduled, that we didn't know about before, which I didn't know about before. And then at the end, it said, the Facebook says that it's now popular in Oregon with the ladies between 25 and 35. I was like, what? My daughter's going, yeah, you're a ladies man. Which was really weird. And then the nice thing about it is, as the video continued to get more viewed, now I'm fit to where the ladies between 35 and 45. So
You're probably going, hey mom, look at this.
yeah, now it's mom. Yes, mom, you need to see this for your.
I was disappointed to find out that Mom didn't involve vodka.
That's
Depends
natural.
on who's involved.
That's the organic volume.
I would find it interesting when you say coming to your live that in the news, they will cover a horrendous scene and they say 25 people died here. Speaking to you live, you know, the contrasts are almost like, I wouldn't be bragging that I'm live. You know, this is a sad event.
Oh, right.
Anyway.
Oh, that reminds me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another Facebook Live too. Brain and I are like sort of taking our toddler steps in Facebook Live together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have chosen not to do Facebook.
Since I've been here, I have spoken in New York, in Denver, and Ottawa, Canada, and here. I have a meditation group on Monday night, and I know some people here when they leave town if they're done for the day. So the meditation group is now online, so if you don't feel like coming to town, you're welcome to join us online. We put it on Facebook Live last night. And I'm just going to say one thing about speaking, because while I was doing a talk in front of audiences, every single moment that I'm meeting people, they're asking about my book, and I give a mini presentation. And my guess is you're all giving talks, and you just consider using the skills that you get here in your everyday conversations and let people know what you're doing.
Thank you. Give a prize. And give a plug for Toastmasters.
Yeah.
So our Toastmaster today is our club president for the last time. So he's not even doing his presidential duties. But he is being Toastmaster today. And of course, we don't have a meeting next week. And the following week, our new president will be taking charge. So we will be anticipating that. But please welcome for today our Toastmaster, Brian Haggerty. I can't even get my name right.
This is a pattern.
We just switch it so your last name's bigger. Yeah,
We
right.
need to do last name and then first name.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. So, who's our grammarian today? Our grammarian today, as I was thinking about who I need to pardon for some of my last acts.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta start with yourself.
Yes, I'd like to pardon myself
Pardon
for all
me.
the things I've done and what I'm going to be doing. And I can do that because I am president.
Yes. We know that.
Jaylene,
Yes.
since
Yes.
you're speaking, you're going to be our grammarian today. Can you stand up and tell us what we're going to do, what you're doing today?
I can. So I am going to be watching for so's and ums and ahs and creative phrases and words. And along with your theme for today, I chose the word appreciate. So to be grateful or thankful for, to value or regard highly, place a high estimate on, to be fully conscious of, aware of, protect, to raise in value, to increase in value. So there you go.
Excellent. I appreciate that word.
Oh, and I brought some hugs and kisses for us all. Left over from today's conference.
I appreciate the fact that there was tape.
That's one.
Okay. And table topics today, we have Mr. Lee Ritzman. So before you take a bite, can you tell us what you're going to be doing, or if you want to have that as a surprise?
Surprise, surprise, the theme of table topics is appreciate or thankfulness.
Thank you. And our timer today is.
And I did not know how long the speeches will be.
We have one that's 5 to 7 minutes, and Dave. 5
Well,
to
5 to
7 minutes.
7, so I'll give you our high-tech timing. We have come full circle. Green at 5. Yellow at 6. Pink, we really need a red at 7 for the speeches, table topics, 1, 1.5, 2, and evaluations, 2, 2.5, and 3. Is that right?
Yes.
For evaluation, something like that.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate the functionality.
Yes.
of our high-tech.
World Championship.
Regular green, regular red, regular yellow.
So you're going.
We did a presentation at the senior center.
Yeah.
All right, I'm losing control.
Make sure it looks
Our
like
general
the red
evaluator
color.
today is going to be Avi Tolar, recently returned wandering member. Can you tell us what the role of general evaluator is?
Gender evaluator gets to look at the bigger picture of what's happening in the meeting, look at ways that we can improve how we're doing things, and evaluate the evaluators.
Thank you very much. So part of our theme today, which is the attitude of gratitude, I found a quote from Hippocrates. And Hippocrates was a Greek philosopher. Actually, I have no idea who Epicurus was. I didn't have time to look it up. But I figured if I just started to talk, you guys could, because I got my bovine scatology degree as well. The Epicurus was not a hypocrite. He wrote, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for." And I thought that, first off, that's a really great attitude. And it reminded me of a dark and stormy night, and it was really a dark and stormy night. I was dating my bride of now 34 years, and we were driving up Canyon Road over in Portland by the zoo, and it was stormy and it was horrible. And we were driving this 76 Datsun B210. And as we're driving up this road, I looked over at my soon-to-be wife and I said, "Oh, if I only had intermittent wipers, I would be so complete." Because at that point in time, there were only the fancy cars had that thing, and so you're going click, 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 click. And I'm thinking, oh, if I just had intermittent wipers. And now you look at these backup cameras and all these things on these cars. Yes, I mean, you have cars that can park for you now, parallel park. I mean, hands-free, all that stuff. And oh, if I just had intermittent wipers, that would be so complete. So don't spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Our first speaker for the day is Christina Book, and she is working on her Understanding Your Communication Style. She should be 5 to 7 minutes. And she hails from Denver, Colorado. She loves small towns much more than cities. Maybe it's just the open space and fresh air, but small towns and open spaces feel more like home than anywhere else for her. She has experiences with different styles of people, her experiences with different types of people have added to her knowledge and practice in team development, allowing groups the open space and fresh airs of how their teams function. Today, she's going to use one of her facilitation tools to share her understandings of communication styles. And I know that there's something going on up there at the Salishan, and I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but it looks pretty fun. I'm seeing zip lines and all kinds of fun things.
See when I can finally open it.
So I'm going to turn the time over to her for her speech, and her evaluator will be Julia Carlson.
Good morning, Toastmasters and guests. All right. I appreciate everyone coming here today and enjoying their lovely meals while I talk at you today. But I hope that you take away some valuable tidbits through our fun tool today. So a community has picked up, or a company has picked up a great project. And they have decided to pull together a new team of top performing individuals. They selected these individuals due to their styles of communication and their effectiveness in the workplace, and their various personality styles. Mr. Smiley Face is an initiator. He is a project manager for this particular project. He is enthusiastic, innovative, and really thinks big picture. Smiley likes to be fast-paced and friendly in the workplace. He'll probably be one of those guys at the bar who comes around and shakes everybody's hand, or at least starts the conversation with them. Maybe even walk away with their phone number and what they do for a living. Next, we have our supervisor, who is the world. The world can turn innovation into systems and processes. Just to get things moving. They see things from a different perspective, and they're a little bit analytical. Our next one, I'm missing my Bible, is Eyeball. He is the assistant supervisor, and he is focused on the impeccable. He is impeccable at being focused. He's results-oriented and strong-willed, which means he can work well with the world and make plans go without too much difficulty. Our last team member is the heart. She is the designer of this project. She is sincere, gentle, and a little slower paced. She sees things from a different perspective, typically from an emotional perspective. Change is typically hard for her, so the dynamics of this fast-paced project are already seen as difficult. This heart is very much like mine. The work environment is a mix of tension, enthusiasm, excitement, as this project is very important to both the employees as well as the company. Communication overall can be challenging throughout the start of a project. I'm sure all of us can relate. Okay. Last week, they decided to meet with a consultant to ensure that they had the resources to move forward quickly and effectively, with methods that would allow them to ensure that the project and the product result was on par. Through this meetup, they learned a lot about themselves and their coworkers through these experiences, and the pieces that they would need to be successful when approaching challenges, changes, and the different communication styles within their teams. Some examples that they ran into: Smiley Face often gets the updates for what's happening within changes and direction and situations. He needs to be able to find the direction, the changes in the direction and the additional work, and adjust his presentation style to be more gentle and sincere, as he is a little bit more hard-nosed and directed than many other people in his group. He needs to move at a slower pace, even though he wants to just go, 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 go. With a plan created and a vision clear, he would be able to initiate Heart, our supportive teammate, to ensure that she was on board and able to listen to the whole process and move forward. She has also been able to contribute a lot from a listening perspective. A supportive personality often is someone who will listen to what the group has to say and can act as a mediator in many cases. They approach things from an emotional standpoint, so they can put themselves in the place of their clients as opposed to money, numbers, and deadlines. She is very excited to work with this great team. Smiley Face and Heart are on opposite sides of the communication spectrum, which means they're going to run into more situations where they're butting heads. In order to be effective, Heart needs to practice a couple of things of her own. Information, questions, and concerns needs to be presented in a diplomatic statement or in more of an analytical, fast-paced motion. This will engage Smiley Face in all of our processes to ensure that he's excited about it. It engages all of who he is and gives him the resources to be able to reach out to the people that he needs to in order to get the team what they need. Overall, dynamics of these different styles can be very challenging given the 4 different types of personalities. But having the 4 different types of communication styles all together, working together, can be a very powerhouse team. There are going to be times where they need to take a look at their stoplight. So they need to take a look at what's going right. What are the things they need to continue to do to be successful? What things they need to be cautious of as they move forward in the process, like talking over each other or not. And then things they need to stop doing. So maybe there's arguments or people's personalities are getting in the way. Sometimes you just need to step out of the room, take a breath, come back and approach it again. So with keeping our stoplight in mind, sometimes we need to listen to what other people have to say. And sometimes we need to have a little bit of guts to say things that may piss people off. But overall, we all need to give each other a helping hand. And we need to appreciate people. Each communication style gets appreciated a little differently. Smiley Face
loves to be appreciated in the fact that he's just like an all-out good person, and that they're engaging and want to be friendly. Our eyeball wants to be appreciated for their vision and the process that they go through to create that vision. Analytical, they love their numbers and their processes, and they want to be appreciated in the fact that they created those things and that they are useful within the everyday. And are supportive. They want to be loved. They want to have that support. They want to have that good job. They may not always want it in front of other people, but they definitely want it. So with all of our tools and resources within our communication, overall, this team is set to create a great end project. And in all, this project is called Embodying Communication. Thank you.
I still want to have a big high five, which I can.
Yeah, you want to? Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent job.
It takes guts to be supportive.
Excellent, excellent. Take a few moments and write down some comments for her. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. That was by William Arthur Ward, who again, I have no idea who he is. This was one of those grab some things up. Try to make it myself sound smarter. But it actually, as I was reading through, there was this website that you could go to, and I had 148 great words of wisdom and things. And so I'm going through it, and I was grabbing the ones that really kind of spoke out to me. And that one I thought, you know, that is so descriptive. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So I would encourage you to, if you feel grateful, if you feel thankful, express it. Because I've never in my line of business have ever talked to any family member as they're, as they're taking care of their loved one. I've never had them ever tell me, you know, I sure wish I wouldn't have told my husband I loved him more. Or no, I sure wish I wouldn't have. I wish I didn't have any more time with him or her. So express it while you have that chance to do it. Our next speaker, Mr. Dave Kaufman, has been a Toastmaster for more than 20 years. He served in every club officer role over the years except president. He's known as an accomplished storyteller and has actually taken his storytelling skills to the Toastmasters World Championship of Public Speaking. His speech today is from the old storytelling manual, The Emotional Speech. The speech should elicit not just one emotion, but a range of emotions, such as happy, sad, fear, anger. The speech will be 5 to 7 minutes and should be delivered without notes. The title of the speech is Who Will Love Them? Please help me welcome Dave Kaufman, and Kathleen is his evaluator.
Well, Toastmasters, I was not yet even 18 when I became enamored with Catholic saints, so I wasn't yet a Catholic, even before I became a Catholic. And one of my favorites was St. Teresa of Avila. And she wrote a poem that I especially liked. It was entitled, Christ Has No Hands. And in Spanish, it's much different than what I'm going to do. I'm paraphrasing here. It's Christ has no hands here on earth, help those who are afflicted, who are sick, who are imprisoned. Christ has no eyes here on earth to see the people who are suffering in the world, the people who are unhappy, the people who are oppressed. Christ has no ears to hear the cries of the poor. Christ has no body here on earth but yours. Christ hands, Christ eyes, Christ ears. You are Christ's body here on earth. If not for you, who will love the people? I really took that to heart then. And a few years later, I had a chance to really put it into practice. I was in the military. I was in Vietnam. I was in a place called Nong Tam, which was near a little city called My Tho. And with the 9th Infantry Division, every 4th week, we had what they call the Civic Action Program. We had to go out and do things in the community to build relationships with the Vietnamese people. I had discovered in My Tho, which was about 3 miles away from our base camp, that they had an orphanage there that really needed a lot of help. It was really run down. It was really a mess. And it was run by Catholic sisters. They ran all the orphanages in Vietnam. And these sisters were very happy to have help. The trouble is, when we offered our help, they didn't speak very much English, and I didn't speak very much Vietnamese. But the Mother Superior spoke a little bit of Spanish, and I spoke a little bit of Spanish. And so we managed to get along, and she communicated to us the things that she needed around buildings that needed fixed, things that needed fixed up. They needed a wall around there to protect them from the outside forces. Most of the people that were involved in this project with me, they were all in my platoon. We'd write home to our parents and tell them all the things the kids need. And when we get all these things in the mail, things that they couldn't get there, we'd get some of that because baby formula there cost a small fortune. And so we could provide that for them for free. One of the things that they provided for us was diapers. What they didn't know about Vietnam is kids that need diapers there just go without anything. They run around bare bottom until their house broke. There's no problem. They got grass floors. When they make a mess, they just sweep it out, put some straw over it, and they're ready to go again. But those diapers did not go to waste. The sisters sewed them into very nice uniforms for all the people. And they all have these nice white uniforms that were made out of the diaper material. Except for the little ones, they just had the tops of the uniforms. In addition to doing all the building things around there, we got to play with the kids. And that was my specialty. I've always loved kids. We like to go out and play games. We had a rope, we played tug of war, we played jump rope. The sisters weren't very appreciative of that because the kids got really dirty, those nice white uniforms, while we were playing these games. But they tolerated it. What the sisters much preferred that I do, and the kids really loved it, is I would read the kids' story. Among all the things that were sent to us, were sent all these kids' books, and all in English. They didn't understand most of them. But their favorite book was Green Eggs and Ham, Cat in the Hat. Do you like green eggs and ham? Do you like them, said Sam I Am? No, I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I Am. Would you like them here or there? Or would you like them anywhere? No, Sam I Am. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like them, Sam I Am. The kids knew this story by heart. They've read this book so many times that they can read the front and back page at the same time without turning the page. And so every now and then I would change up the story a little bit. One of my favorite things, would you like to have some ham? Would you like them from a can? And they say, no, number 10, don't say no, number 10. Now, number 10 over there is just the opposite of what number 10 is over here. It means you're not being very nice. You're messing up my story. And they would force me to get back. They knew this story by heart, but they still loved it. And it was always the first one they would request every time I come. They wanted to hear about green eggs and ham. On the weeks that we weren't there, of course, we were involved in combat operations. And we were out on one extended period of time, and we'd seen a little action that weekend. And when we got back, we found out that the city of Mito had seen little action also. They had been shelled. And one of the places that had been shelled and suffered a lot of damage was the orphanage. They had been shelled on purpose because they were accepting help from the Americans. And so that was meant to send a message. When we went to see what we could do to help put the place back together, they were still sorting through the rubble, looking for any possible survivors. I remember being there and looking, I remember seeing a hand that looked like it was waving, and I went over there to try and dig it out and found out that was all that was left. It was an arm and a hand. The only survivors in that particular part of the bucket, that was the nursery where the babies were kept. There were 2 survivors that were held in the arms of one of the nuns who gave her life to protect them. We were helping put things back together, and I was feeling just enraged. I mean, I wanted to go out literally, and I sold it. That's what I was there for, is to go out and kill the enemy. But never did I feel that with vengeance. Never did I have a feeling of animus toward the enemy like I did that particular day. And at the end of that day, I went up to the Mother Superior and asked her, because of all that had gone on, do you even want us to come back here after this? And she looked at me and she said, Sergeant Dave, if not for you, who will love them? If not for you, who will be their Christ here on earth? The epilogue to the story. Many, many years later, I'd come home from Vietnam. And after Vietnam had been taken over, all of the sisters had been put in re-education camps. And they don't know what happened to the kids after that. The Mother Superior, who was my friend, had died there. But I was visiting a retreat center up in Portland, and one of the nuns that was up there taking care of that retreat center recognized me and introduced, and we talked about the old times. And we shed a lot of tears together, remembering what had gone on there with both of us. But that was my one chance on earth, I realized, to be Christ's eyes and Christ's ears and Christ's body to the people in that community. Mr. Toastmaster.
It's that speech goes right hand in hand with also speaking about gratitude, because the children there, I'm sure, even though they were punished, the ones that survived, I'm sure, were very grateful for you, the things that you did. Enjoy the little things. For one day, you may look back and realize that those were the big things. That's by Robert Brault, who again, I'm not sure who Robert Brault is, but when you look at those things, you think, okay, enjoy the little things. For one day, you may look back and realize those are the big things. And I can tell you, having raised some children now, it's amazing how some of those big things you thought were so big really didn't mean that much. And it's those little times that you spent with those children that mean the most. You get these, you'll have a conversation with one of your children and they'll go, do you remember when? You're thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about. But they remember it. And one of the best things about having grandchildren is you can try to do the things with those grandchildren, like those two right over there, that you didn't get to do with your children. I was telling my wife, one of the things I missed a lot, we had a hardwood floor up in Portland, and one of the things I really enjoyed was listening to the little kids come running down the hallway at their bare feet, slap, 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 slam open the door and jump on the bed with you. And I was so excited when my oldest granddaughter was old enough to hear slap, 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 and she came running down the hallway and jumped in bed. So it's the little things that you may find out are the big things. Madam Timer, can we get times for those speeches?
We can. I apologize to Christina. I got so, I so much appreciated your speech that I wasn't really paying attention at the time. Your cues came a little bit late, certainly the first one. You talked for 7 minutes and 41 seconds, and they had us all enthralled in the story for 9 minutes and 25 seconds.
Thank you. We're going to have some table topics. We will have 2 table topics, possibly 3. So if our table topics master will come forward, we will have some table topics. You're welcome, Mr. Liebertz. Outgoing Vice President. Membership. So, make you happy.
Duly noted. I wasn't playing on my phone.
What is the difference between being grateful and having an attitude of gratitude?
Sir Toastmaster. Being grateful is expressing. It's a verb. It's sharing with people you meet, with your family and friends and strangers. Having an attitude of gratitude comes with it from within. It happens inside you. It's the way that you look at the world. It's the way that you interpret the world. It's the way that you believe in yourself, in others, in what's possible. It's opening yourself to life's experiences and what Christ and the universe wants to share with you. It's letting that stir inside you so that it can become that being, that verb, that way of expressing gratitude in the world. Thank you for that question.
Krista, this is similar. Is attitude something that is part of us, that we were born with, it's our nature, or is it something we can change or develop?
Someone who has tried to change their attitude and failed, I must say I believe it is something that you're born with. How we are raised certainly influences how that attitude will develop and how it will be expressed. But no matter what you do, that kernel of who you are is there. And I know that there's folks here that I can tell their attitude is so full of positive energy. And I'm looking at so many of your faces right now. And you just share that with the world. And I feel like you just can be happy no matter what. And maybe I'm mistaken, but that's how I see some people. I see that. Well, I am not that way. I unfortunately can be in a situation and I just pull out the negative, and I don't like that. I don't like that about myself. And I try to correct it because I know it doesn't make me happy. But at 41, I can say that I have not been successful. So I'm starting to accept that part of myself, forgive myself. But I try to focus on the positive whenever I can.
Please tear up a little piece of paper and send it to me with your, I'm sorry that we can only select one. Thank you. We have reached, timer report for our 2 table topics.
Our Jamie talked for 1 minute and 7 seconds, and Krista 1 minute and 3.
Thank you.
Got those.
We're now going to have an evaluation for Christina Brooks' speech, and our evaluator will be Julia Carlson. Please help me welcome Julia.
The purpose of this trial.
Christina.
Which way to-
Epic fail here.
It happens every meeting.
Christina. I did have to say that. Okay, so let's get into this here. So we wanted to learn about different communication styles, and also for you to share the impact of your communication style, the heart, and the impact of others. And I thought that the way that you use the analogies and the props and the way that you were communicating that with us was very clear and easy to listen to and to understand. You had great eye contact. I felt like your gestures of the heart, like when you were talking about the heart, you were at ease. You actually stopped looking at your nose, and it's like you knew that style because that was you. And when you were talking about the others, particularly the smiley, you actually relied on the And it was funny because you actually said that it was like opposite, or it was the hardest to get along with. And that's where your voice got a little shaky. Yeah. So that was interesting to look at that. At the end with the stoplight, that was very good. I also wanted to find myself in, I wonder which one I am. And one thing I thought was in the beginning, there was probably 20 seconds of it didn't feel like a super strong start, where I felt like if you started with a great company, which I think is where you define the tools, like that's where it kind of got energized. So that would be just my take on that. And obviously I think a challenge would be like, this stuff. I think this is what you do. And I bet you could probably throw out the notes and just speak from what you're doing every day with groups. So I thought it was very good.
Thank you. I agree. As you were starting to talk about smiley, I was like, who's that smiley jerk?
They're not church. They're just different than me. They're like the
World
hardest
needs
person
all
for me to deal with.
Yes. Function. There we are.
Oh, yes.
You need to have all types, even the smiley jerks.
My husband can be a smiley jerk too. He's the guy who knows everybody in the bar.
What's really interesting is how, depending on your roles that you go throughout your careers, sometimes you find out, and we had different languages. In one of the companies I worked at was you're pushing out your A, first you type it, but everyone thought that was you pushing out your A. Anyway, Kathleen will be our next evaluator. Help me welcome Kathleen. You can see right there. Yes, there you go.
Philadelphia Masters, I always appreciate the opportunity to evaluate Dave because I have known him for such a long time and because he does things so well. It's not easy as a storyteller myself to be able to start with something that is humorous and funny and then move back into something that's a little more tender. And one of the questions that was asked here was, how did the audience respond and how do you know? I was not turning to look at the audience, I was listening to the audience. And when Dave was telling about something that was funny, people chuckled, even laughed. I could see smiles from this end. But when he got to the tender part, very interesting, I heard a general kind of a sound from him. It's a reflective sound, almost. I'm one of those people that believes that we have an internal, is the word G or P? G. Okay. Within us that is expressed often through sound that we make. And that sound is a very internal one that you were making. It was really touching you. It also touched Dave. Did you notice that his chin was quivering and yet he did not become maudlin and teary, but instead you could just tell that the story was impacting him a lot. If I were going to suggest a couple of things for Dave to do, there are a couple of them today that I don't usually see with Dave. One of them was when he was thinking, he would often look at the ceiling and would lose eye contact with the rest of us. I also noticed that Dave had a tendency to back and forth as he was talking. I suspect this was also part of remembering what comes next in the story, because when you've lived a story, then choosing the specific details that you're going to share is a very difficult thing to do. And so I feel like you were, at one point, you were steadying yourself solid, I'm right here, and then you would go here to here as you're thinking about, do I say this one or do I say something else? And another result of this turned out to be Dave's pauses. Usually Dave has excellent timing for everything that he is saying, whether it's humorous, time to give us to laugh, time to respond to the things that are a little sad. In this case, because he was pausing so much in his speech, they were not quite as effective as they ordinarily are. And so if you were able to be more fluent, then you would have been able to impact us even more with the things that you were not saying as well as the things that you were. However, I need to go back to the fact that Dave is a marvelous storyteller. And when you're able to take something that has happened to you and make it a general concept for everybody else who's listening, it's a great talent, and it's something that we need more often for people who are speaking. Fellow Toastmasters.
Can we get a timer's report for the evaluation?
We can. They were both fantastic. Julia talked for exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And Kathleen, I hope you didn't notice my initial premature green signal. We were going to look at Dave, and I was like, oh my God, I did it. Why not? And she talked for 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Right in there.
Thank you. Sometimes when you're talking about some very personal things, it's really difficult. And I know sometimes you start kind of grooving a little bit, or you're trying to do something with your body so that you're not going back to that moment when you're finding pain or you're finding something. You're just going, moving forward, let's continue with the story so that you can keep communicating what you're trying to say. And so thank you, Dave, for sharing that with us. Table topic winner. We get to our general evaluation in just a moment, but first,
Well, our winner is on the other side of the table. I'm going to throw it out here. And really, can somebody get it?
Yeah. Hi, can't we all be winners today?
we're all winners.
I know.
An edge. It's the winner.
Yeah.
I was like, Dave, look cool.
Photoshop is a wonderful thing.
Just all go through like here up.
And can we have a grammarian report, you can stay right there and stand up
Yes.
and do the grammarian report, please.
There were 4 uses of appreciate that I noted, and only 2 so's and ums. There were some interesting phrases. If I just had intermittent wipers, I'd be complete. Embody communication. That's cool. Grace has no hands. Expressing gratitude. And you said this, Brian, and I was listening. I don't know what I was doing, but writing an evaluation. There was a metaphor that went along with that. Expressing gratitude is like,
Oh,
I love
It's-
that.
yeah, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it.
Yes, that was beautiful. Bare bottom until house broke. Read the front and the back at the same time. All that was left were the hands. Who's not going to take that image home? And if not for you, who will love them? Who will be their Christ on earth? That's right.
Thank you. None is more impoverished than the one who has no gratitude. Gratitude is currency that we can mint for ourselves and spend without fear of bankruptcy. Mr. Fred DeWitt Van Amber, whoever he is, said that, and that was pretty impressive. Can you welcome our general evaluator?
You can make note of this, Jerry. I'm going to use the word of the day.
Okay, we're making notes.
I have such great appreciation for you all and everything that every single person is bringing to the table in the meeting. It's so unique. It's so interesting. It's so from the heart. It was just wonderful to be here with you all. The Toastmaster, that was a great theme with gratitude and great quotes. It made you seem very intelligent. Amazing, well-known people.
Stroke my good evil.
One other nice thing that you did was reminded people to write comments and give just a moment to write comments after the speeches. It would be interesting to see if we could create a feedback for people online to a system for offering feedback for people online. And so just think about the way that we want to do it. That would be really smooth. And then just a note about online, because we've been doing this for almost a year. And when I was online 2 weeks ago, it was like, I don't know if I want to be a member because I'm going to be online a lot. And that was very frustrating. So something to think about is if one method fails, do we have another good backup? And I really feel that because we've been doing this for so long, that we want to keep offering that it's time that we put in the investment, whatever it means to really make that consistent. For our grammarian, this will be a fun challenge going forward for grammarians, is to be as clear as possible when you give your report, making sure that it doesn't start with so or any of those other audible pauses. And this is actually interesting, Jaylene, when you started the table topics, so we normally get table topics evaluations, you took a moment to think before you started. That's part of what eliminates the audible pauses. And don't be scared to give people that moment while you're thinking. In a way, it's interesting for us too. It gives us time to integrate everything else that's been happening and to feel you while you're feeling. So there isn't nothing happening in that moment. Also, on the matter of table topics, Krista's a very natural speaker off the cuff. One of the things that she did was create a great intro and conclusion. So she automatically made a smooth off the cuff talk simply by doing that and by making it personal. A tip is to share Facebook Lives of some of the talks that people are doing on the Toastmasters page, through some of yours on there as well. And be sure that you know what's happening at the meeting, who your evaluators are before the meeting, so that if you come in late, you're ready for that to start. If you don't mind, I'm gonna take a little bit more time. But clap until people are completely done, which means that they are back in their seat or the next person has started talking, not just for a moment to show that gratitude, but continue that along. Okay, and our evaluators did a wonderful job. Julia, you offered feedback with humor. Both of you focus a lot on the positives. One thing you can think about with doing evaluations is creating a technique for how to pull this off quickly so it's easy to refer to your notes while you're speaking, because it is a short amount of time to organize that and speak. And Kathleen, one of the things you did was you know the speaker and you could talk in reference to what you've seen in the past, which was very nice to see. I just had one more note. I have not been asked to do table topics for I think like a year or longer. Just a reminder for the table topics to continue to ask a variety of people in the room. I'm very, very glad to be here with you for this one meeting, and I thank you all very much.
Whoever writes me notes, keep in mind that I still need very large print in order to be able to read it.
Well, I'll share with you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. I'm going to go ahead and just close the meeting because I want to make sure the next, again, no meeting here next week. 4th of July is we're taking that off. We just getting the gavel ready. The next meeting, as far as roles, we have Krista as our Toastmaster. Her theme is going to be very similar to this one.
Mine was down first.
I know, she probably thought, dang, he's stealing all my thunder. That's why I did attitude of gratitude, not appreciation. Hers is going to be appreciation.
Never be enough.
Oh yeah, and appreciate right here, everything. Cody will be our speaker, but we don't have any evaluator for Cody yet. Kathleen will be speaker number 2 with Lori Whitecamp as her evaluator. Dave Kaufman Grammarian